The views and opinions expressed in this show are those of the presenters, hosts and guests and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of VoUK TV.
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmat. Oh, I'm looking at the.
What are you looking at?
You're looking at the. I'm looking at the radio. Okay, I forgot. Sorry. Shall we start again? This one. I keep forgetting. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Welcome to the very first show, #NoEdits. Podcast, chat show, whatever you want to call it. We're going to have some deep discussions, random chats about certain topics that we come across in a daily routine. And when it means #NoEdits, it means no edits. So no editing here. Alhamdulillah, we have special guests with us. Sadik Rehman, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
And also we have another special guest, Shuaib. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to the show, guys.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Just to talk about, just a bit of detail about these guys. They're good friends of mine, alhamdulillah. Sadik Rehman, who is studying at this very moment. He's studying Alimiyya, and he's also very active in the community of Manchester. And he, inshallah, we hope that he tells us about a few stories about his madrasa life and his journey, to knowledge and his hifz. And also we have Shuaib with us as well, who is also very active in the community of Manchester, and he has completed his studies in the Islamic College in France. So inshallah, we'll be talking about their life, their student life, and what they're doing now, inshallah. So before we just want to get into it, inshallah. So before we start, how are you guys doing?
Alhamdulillah, good. Very tired.
Very tired.
Alhamdulillah.
How Shuaib, you tired? You looking tired?
He's always tired.
to
be honest, I always look tired, even when I'm not. So just gotta get going.
Just to let you know, and I'm sure you've just heard it. #NoEdits. It means no edits. So that means even now, even the bits that I will get mistakes, there's no editing as well.
Yeah.
So, and I'm sure, alhamdulillah, you guys don't swear anyway, because we're supposed to be ulama, inshallah. So there's nothing that we're going to say that's out of anything politically kind of negative or incorrect, you can say. But before anything else, I just want to talk about and get into the discussion of, your madrasa life, right? And this chat show is all about, talking about different ideas and mainly about what inspires people to do what they're doing today. So you guys, mashallah, are quite active in the community, and you spent some time in madrasa, over 10 years maybe. So what really inspired you to actually go into this path? If I can start with you, Sadik.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. So going to madrasa, there was no inspiration.
Right,
I didn't have no inspiration because I went from the age of 11. So nothing inspired me. It was really my parents. They wanted someone from my family to become a hafiz or become a alim. So when I was going into madrasa, before entering madrasa, nothing inspired me. I got inspiration many years later from going to madrasa and seeing the senior students becoming hafiz.
So how many years would you say that took?
It took about, because I went in year 7, I'm still a kid. So probably about after 2-3 years, even 4 years probably, the inspiration came.
SubhanAllah. So you say that you didn't actually have any inspiration,
No.
so your parents just told you to go, and that's it. SubhanAllah. So what about your story, Hafiz Shuaib? Have you got a slightly different story, maybe?
I mean, I went with the hopes and dreams of my parents. They wanted me to become hafiz, alim, whatever. Especially my mum, who's always been there. She's always wanted me to be in that path. She didn't really care wherever else I went in life, just as long as I was on that path. But personally, I didn't really understand what the purpose of that was. And to be honest, I didn't really feel inspired by it all until my final years in France.
Okay.
So, that
So
was
similar
after a long
stories
time.
basically.
Yeah.
So it was more of your parents' inspiration, yeah?
Yeah.
Wish, or they were inspired by maybe other people to send you to a madrasa, but you yourselves, you started studies at the age of 11,
Yeah.
and yourself at the age of 12, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's very young age, very tender age. Many 11-year-olds and 12-year-olds, today, what are they doing now these days? Is imagine it.
Fortnite.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Fortnite.
I don't think I cannot see 11-year-old going madrasa right now.
But
Very hard. They are doing it, especially I know certain madrasas. Even though they start from year 7,
Yeah.
they tell the parents when they come for interview that let him stay at home for 1 more year. Let him come in year 8. Because
Okay.
even the teachers know it's quite hard.
Yeah, of course, it is difficult.
Back
Especially
nowadays it was hard, but now it's even more harder.
even more because of the sacrifice
Yeah.
that you have to endure.
Mm.
And so what was one of the hardest things in madrasa you felt?
Well, starting madrasa, it was more about homesickness and just dealing with other people that you don't know, living with them.
So
and
imagine it. Yeah, it's true. Imagine it. You're living with your brothers and sisters all this time,
True.
and then you share a bedroom, but then you're sharing a bedroom with complete strangers.
Strangers,
Imagine
yeah.
it.
Yeah.
So you mentioned homesickness. So in particular time that in particular stories that you had of homesickness.
Well, I mean, as a small kid, I was always the first kid that they would pick on. And to be honest, because of that, I can't really remember a specific moment that was the height of homesickness. It was just pretty much always kind of there. But alhamdulillah, it's given me a lot of discipline in that.
Alhamdulillah.
Yeah.
Have Sadik any stories of homesickness or?
No, not really. I never used to cry. But I remember the first time I cried was after a couple of days.
Mm.
So after a couple of days, I remember after Fajr, I went to the room and I just started crying out. And I started getting these weird thoughts in my head like, why are my parents sending me? Do they not like me? Why are they sending me away from home? I remember that. I could remember that day
Yeah.
perfectly. That it was on the Thursday. I remember after Fajr. Yeah, that was the first time I cried at madrasa.
What about you? Have you gone
Myself.
through anything?
Okay, so this is.
You, I was like, we travelled not far from our house. But you went quite far.
Yeah.
So how was it?
Well, he travelled to France, to be
Yeah,
honest.
but you're
That's-
more older then. You're more older.
So okay, okay. So this is a bit of a.
We turned it around.
I'm the host. This is my
No,
show.
no.
I'm asking you questions.
It doesn't
Okay,
matter.
because you asked the question, I'll answer it inshallah. So I studied in Madinatul Ulum, Kidderminster. So it was in the Midlands, and the reason why I went to Kidderminster, you're probably thinking, why on earth am I going to the Midlands when there's so many madrasas in the
Yeah.
northwest? To be honest, my intention and my parents wanted me to actually go to the madrasas nearby, so Darul Ulum Bury, Darul Ulum Bolton, but we didn't really pursue them because my cousin, he was already studying in the madrasa in Kidderminster, so we thought that it would be easier for me to actually settle in there, and alhamdulillah I did settle in there quite well. I went at the age of 15, you can say, or I was turning 15 years old. So it's nothing like you guys where you're 11 or 12, and I think that makes a big difference though,
It does.
because you can say I was well more aware, right? Because I knew exactly where I was going in that sense.
You're at the age of tamyiz where you can start differentiating
Yeah,
between things.
of course,
and,
definitely. So yeah, I was that age of 14, 15, and to be honest, the sacrifice that you guys did is, I don't think I could compare it to that, because you guys are small little kids in that sense. You're still dependent on your parents. Obviously, I was still dependent on my parents, but I'm talking about depending on your own kind of instinct in that sense. When you're 14, 15, you've already reached the age of puberty. You're mature in that sense, and I think the sacrifice that I would say is that letting go of, because you know where you're going to go. So I had a chance, it was a choice for me. My parents said, you either go to madrasa, you can go to madrasa or stay in the school. and quite clearly I wanted to go to the madrasa, but that's because I didn't want to study anymore. That's what it was. But it was, I knew exactly where I was going in that sense. I knew that there was going to be struggles in the sense of fitna and in regarding my deen in that sense. I knew that it would be a struggle. 15 years old, imagine it. Because when you come to that age, that's when you choose your friends.
Yeah, definitely.
You choose your friends, and the next year you've got GCSEs, so you need to focus in that sense. So the way I would put it is when you're 11 or when you're 12 in your high school, 12, 13, you're messing about. You don't know what's going on, so you just go to school, you mess about. 13, another year goes, but then when you get to 14, you're thinking, okay, I messed about a bit. Let me just put my head down, and that's when you would have SATs, and you just think to yourself, yeah, okay, I need to focus. So when you get to 15, I would say this is when you pick your friends. You choose your friends. You're gonna settle with certain groups of friends, and that's where the main decision is. And then if you have good company, they'll take you to you'll be successful. If you have bad company, then God knows what will happen. And so when you get to 16, obviously it's GCSEs, you want to be more focused in life. So in that sense, that sacrifice, I have to think about them kind of things. Where am I going to go in that sense? But yeah, I've done a lot of the talking. I think this is supposed to be, you guys are supposed to be the guests. So inshallah, switch you back. Okay, so your madrasa life. What was, you mentioned about you later on you were inspired by maybe certain students, senior students. Were there any particular time that stood out for you that, because I'm sure when I was in madrasa, there wasn't just one incident where it inspired me. It was a few incidents where there was senior students, as you mentioned, teachers giving us talk, or simply just reading the Quran and hearing the beauty. So is there anything that really stood out for you?
For me, mainly was my teachers.
Okay.
After graduating, they didn't look to English jobs or normal jobs. Rather, they sacrificed their entire life to study and to teach the deen.
Yeah.
So this was mainly my inspiration. My teachers, they would spend hours just teaching the deen. And I remember one graduation. One of the year I was graduating, this year was, the students there, they were very inspirational. And in their graduation, I remember after they were getting the duster one, they were getting the puggy, etc. I seen many committee members of different masjids and from around the UK going to them, and they want these certain individuals to come and serve their community. And this was a very big, and I've seen this with my own eyes, and this was a very big inspiration for me.
Okay, so you're talking about the respect, the honor.
Yeah, the respect, the honor. Yeah.
Okay. Alhamdulillah, we've had some good discussions. For now, we're gonna have to go for a break, and inshallah we'll be back, guys. So stay tuned. Inshallah, we'll see you after the break to discuss a few more topics and a few more things about madrasa life, inshallah. Welcome back to the show, #NoEdits. And when we said #NoEdits, we actually meant no edits. So you probably saw me kind of staring into into open space, and that's the reason being I wasn't looking at the camera. I was looking at the the actual walkie-talkie. So yeah, If you see me do that, remember, this is hashtag no edits, so it means no edits, inshallah. So going back to the discussion about madrasa life, we got into a few discussions about, what inspired them, or, really, nothing really inspired you to go to madrasa. What inspired them to actually carry on with their studies? So we talked about the different hardships that you had to go through in madrasa life and before madrasa life as well. So inshallah, we just want to go back to our discussion about madrasa life. So particularly I want to ask about, I know about madrasa life as well. Just as there's hardships and there's, hard times as well. What are the good moments or the funny moments you would say, you can remember?
In madrasa life?
Yeah, madrasa life, yeah.
I don't think you had any.
I mean, it's a very long time ago, to be honest.
Okay.
I'm
I'm sure you're not that old, right? How old are you?
I don't want to say my age on camera, but it's not really about funny moments. It's just there are good times where you sit with your friends and you could have takeaway, talk about just general things, and there are those moments where it gets you through.
Guys, by the way,
Yeah.
for madrasa guys or any Darul students who are watching right now, we all know, and those people who are not familiar with Darul life or madrasa life, they know that food is the most important thing for them. Takeaway, especially fast food. Yeah.
It's a delicacy.
Yeah, it definitely is. And I think you probably look forward to our order nights, or
Yeah.
when you order from outside, it's probably the best thing ever, right?
Definitely.
So yeah, going back to what you're saying, good times.
In France, I had better. It was much more. Better.
So what's the difference? What you say between the two seminaries?
In terms of just your personal good times in France, because you have a lot more freedom, and also you have people coming from all walks of life. You have French friends, Italians, Albanians, Moroccans, all sorts, and they're all in there, Tunisians, and it's interesting to see the different characters that come up, and especially those that come from the ghettos of France.
Whoa,
They're a
okay.
different kind of, it's a different creation almost. I'm not even joking. It's like I've even been to some of those ghettos in Paris, and it's like looking at something from an American rap video. It's that crazy with the motorbikes and dogs, and it's you get a bit worried. Once I was outside a mosque, and they had people selling things like fake watches and fried peanuts, and there was people coming out of the shower in the mosque, and I couldn't understand what was going on. Come out of the mosque and there's people doing wheelies on motorbikes, and this is in Paris. It's a different lifestyle, so it's very interesting to see the difference between here and over
So
there.
you didn't stay in? Did you actually stay in the residential area?
Yeah, we stayed in the residential area.
Okay.
But it's in the countryside, so you do hear the odd owls and wolves, and you see some snakes here and there, or gunshots, because they hunt they hunt animals over there. I remember once I was jogging and I heard a gunshot, and this was around those Charlie Hebdo times, and
No.
that
Not
was
very comfortable, is it?
it wasn't very comforting, so I just ran straight back to the institute just to get away from it. So
Wow, that's interesting. So we get back into that though, inshallah. So Hafiz Sadik, any good times in madrasa? Well, you're still studying, aren't you? Actually,
Still studying.
So fun times.
I'm not
I'd
at
say.
boarding anymore. I used to be a boarding student.
Mm.
Now I'm commuting. I travel to
Yeah.
madrasa every day. But the best times for me were, it's a very weird one, but it's when the Ofsted used to come. When the
Okay.
Ofsted used to come,
I believe that would be that was the most pressurizing.
not for us, obviously for the team in madrasa, for them, but then we would come together, the office lot, they will do all the paperwork, everything that needs to be done. And the students, we would clean the madrasa, make sure every single room is perfect. And then you get a big treat. at
Oh,
the end.
I see. So guys, remember what I meant what we said about food, right? Everything comes down to food, right? So as Hafiz Sadik mentioned, just to retrieve that he looks forward to Ofsted. And Ofsted time is is very pressurizing time for the madrasa as well. but we knew that we're going to get a fat treat after that. So
It's also how you eat with the teachers and
okay.
the principal, and then normal day to day you don't do that. The teachers on their own, the students on their own. When you do that, the teachers, students, everyone together eating.
Okay. So just want to get back to the point when you mentioned about your madrasa was in the countryside, and I studied in Darul Berry, and I also studied in Medinatul Ulum Kidderminster. Kidderminster was maybe more further out or out of the, you can say, the kind of, I want to say civilization, but the residential areas, you can say. It was surrounded by farm, and Darul Berry, as you know, it's kind of, it's only a place kind of. You would say we had neighbours, but not many neighbours. But we also know Darul Bolton, which was in residential areas, houses all over the place. So, what would you say the benefit of actually studying in institutes like this, in this kind of setup? Or maybe even talk about the disadvantages as well.
Well, coming from an urban lifestyle, the obvious disadvantage is you don't have your TV, you don't have, your shops around you and your takeaways.
Again,
you feel that, but that's also an advantage as well, because you're not as distracted, and what comes with nature is a clarity of mind. You're with Allah's creation here, and being in that environment, that sort of takes you back to your fitrah, in a sense. Where it's because the trees there in their natural habitat, and when you're with them, you start, you could say, thinking like the trees. If that makes sense. I don't know if it does make sense, but hoping it does.
Guys, as we know, our Ustad Shuaib here, he's as we know him, he's very deep. He's a deep thinker, mashallah. So you can tell that what kind of effect that he has as well on us as well. So he's quite. He thinks quite deep. He's on another level to us. But Hafiz Sadik Rehman. So what would you say there? You, from your experiences, advantage, disadvantage of living in the residential area?
The disadvantage is there's a lot of distraction. Advantages, there are many advantages. There's more, our madrasa, they would work with the people outside, residential people, everyone. So there are advantages and also disadvantages.
Okay, that's good. Interesting. So,
but what would you say is being in seeing Medinatul Ulum, being there, and being in Darul Berry? What would you say was, even though they were both in nature, what would you say the difference between them was?
The difference between them, it was more to do with the actual institute itself. Okay. Whereas, for example, I won't say the setup. If you look, well, Medinatul Ulum was very vast and open. So Darul Berry, as you know, it's got trees all around it, so it's a bit more closed. Whereas Medinatul Ulum was very open land. You can see the whole land from. Whereas Darul Berry is on a hill. You can't see the end of the madrasa from the. So that was the difference in terms of what it looks like. But in terms of the actual institute itself, I would say the teachers were slightly different. Whereas Medinatul Ulum took on a lot of graduates, so we understood the teachers from that. But there were students there, and you could relate to them in that sense. But Darul Berry, the teachers therefore they were very senior, and the respect level was But there's an advantage to that, obviously, because then when these people have so much experience in ilm, in teaching, so there was that side of you can say that side of things of benefit. Whereas Medinatul Ulum, you could really relate to them because they were a lot younger in that sense, and they studied at the madrasa not too long from yourselves, basically. So that was the difference. So yeah, inshallah. So jazakallah guys for joining our show, and I'm sure I'll see you guys the next sessions, inshallah. I hope you enjoyed it as well, and I'm sure you guys enjoyed it, and I hope to see you guys soon, inshallah. # no edits. No edits. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. On VoUK TV. Sorry? Sorry. So yeah, hope to see you soon from VoUK TV, #no edits. Is that okay? Okay, alright, okay. I'm sure I'll get better at that.